All right, so we are live. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Hello, Miss Ronnie. Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Well, it's afternoon for me, so.
That's true, man. These time differences. I cannot wait till I'm closer to your time zone so that I cannot say those things, and I'll be like in the middle. It'll be amazing.
I know.
So we were just doing our pre-show talk, and we found the perfect topic. And the topic today is, I manifested this, and I don't know what to do with it now. Love this. So let's read everybody in a little bit. You were just telling me that you've manifested something pretty amazing and you're not quite sure what to do with it. And I was like, oh my God, me too. So take it away. Tell us what's going on.
So I have a client that I've been working with for, it's probably been like 5 or 6 years now. Like I've been working on their marketing. I'm the VP of marketing for them. And it's an older gentleman, and this is basically his retirement company that's turned into like this full-time job kind of thing because it's grown over the last 5 years, which is great. But it's a really cool little company. I really love working for them. And, you know, as he's gotten older and we've gotten more into it, I've always said, you know, I'd love to own this company one day. Like I'd love to take over because I think that there's so much growth potential and there's a lot of things I could do with it and all that kind of stuff. Well, in the last 2 weeks, that is potentially happening. And now I don't know what to do. I said this morning to my doctor at a doctor's appointment. I was like, she's like, how are things going? And she asked me about it because I've talked about it before. And I was like, now I'm in that position where I'm like, well, I totally manifested this, right? I've been talking about it for almost a year. And now I'm like, shit, I don't know what to do. What happens when this stuff comes true?
Yes. Okay. So for me, I feel like you just hit 3 different elements that we could go into. One is retirement gone wrong, meaning like you try and retire and then come back. That's a story, which I have one for too. Then you talk about manifesting, which hashtag it's a full moon right now. We could totally go into the woo of that and why it's coming to fruition right now. And also the concept of acquisition, AKA the fancy word of buying a business, buying or selling a business or merging a business. So many topics. I mean, like I actually have goosebumps. So that's kind of crazy. And actually down my legs too. So this must be a good thing because it's not cold in here. That's amazing. Wow. Look, like that's like a full goosebump piece.
What does that mean?
Usually really good. Usually it's like a full body chill is like a really good sign. Yeah. Actually really good sign. So acquisition. So you're kind of in a unique position because you're on the inside and yet also this potential buyer. So you have such an access that, you know, people may not always have. Like this is a beautiful thing where like maybe we can position it to where a partner buys out the business or such, that kind of situation. So as a buyer, you know, when you're manifesting this, what were you really thinking? Like you said, there was a lot of potential and all of the things, but like, what made you think today I might buy this business?
Well, one, because I knew that this was not his, like he's retired. Like I knew that this was just a like side hustle passion project for him from the beginning. But as we grew it actually, you know, being the marketing person, it grew into a brand that is bigger than I think we even both thought it would be. And as we've now worked it for 6 years and looked at the marketing and the clients and how things are going and been like, this has potential for something. And so, and also in the last 6 months, I've been working with a partner on a lot of different projects. And so this is where now it's going to get a little bit tricky, and probably this will have to be the last time I talk about it until after it's done, just because of confidentiality stuff. But
you heard it first here, people.
But so now it's getting really tricky because I have a business partner on my buyer side of stuff where we have to think about a buyer as in we're buying acquiring a business, what is the actual physical cost? Like, what's the inventory that is sitting in the warehouse right now that it's
The value
cash
of
money,
it. Yeah.
value, so like figuring out the value of the company. What is the brand worth? What is the website worth? What is, like, what are all of these things worth? Where inventory is easy, like we paid a price for that, right?
Yeah.
Website and brand and marketing and market share is all like these really soft costs that who knows. And then you kind of throw in economy coming down the pipeline this past 2 months. And so it's all of these different factors. So I sit on this side of the table with the buyer hat with a partner, and then have to sit on the inside as well with the seller going, okay, well, here's how this could be valued. Here's how that could be valued. And so I'm stuck in this really weird, like,
right.
limbo.
You actually have a conflict of interest, right? It's
I
like
really
selling it to yourself. So I actually think moving forward, a business broker would probably be legally smart. Now, I have very little knowledge of this, but just from my own experience in lawsuits, it's good to have that third party, especially when you're so deep on both sides, because then you just know there's a third party unbiased that can just, check from both sides and, agree if this is good, because someone that's not as ethically and morally sound as you could royally write themselves a great deal. It's kind of like how doctors can't write prescriptions for themselves, or at least I don't believe they can. It's that kind of moment. So I'm so excited for this, and an acquisition, as my bestie, because I talk to you every weekend, but like, this has been a thing I keep talking about. It keeps coming up for me. And I, as a brand specialist, I've been really just curious about it. One, I love shopping. I know that sounds silly, but it is shopping for businesses. But two, it also, for me as a brander, which is something that you mentioned, is an awareness I don't think a lot of business owners have. Like, we just try and get into business, let alone make a sale, let alone try and get to the $1 million 6-figure mark, whatever. We never think that what we're doing, our lists, our client lists, the people we know, the vendor connections, the brand we have, the physical and non-physical assets that we have, all of those things have value and can be sold and could be purchased. Here's a really dumb analogy, but right now I'm currently in the moving process, selling all my furniture. And I thought it was like, sell it for cheap, get it out the door. Do you know, I have had 3 resellers reach out to me and slip up telling me that they were a reseller. So now I know they're buying it cheap to resell it, and I'm the one losing money. Yeah. So I have, my furniture is kind of doing that whole thing to me, because I'm like, excuse me, but we need to think of that in our businesses. Are we selling it for cheap to get rid of it because maybe we want to retire, or are we leveraging it like a home investment that has acquired equity over years that we could sell? And I think for myself, when I come into it as a brander, whether I'm building it or at the selling, I kind of feel like a realtor stager. Like, for example, the person that's selling it needs to take all the personal belongings out so that the buyers coming in can imagine what their furniture, their belongings would look like. Vice versa, someone buying, they need to go in and make sure all the assets are there, that they have everything they're about to pay for, that it is a full investment. And so I've been very, very fascinated by the acquisition world. I would love to partner with more brokers, with more buyers and sellers. I do know it's a very under the table in the moment someone brings it up, and you need to be top of mind for this kind of stuff.
That's how this happened.
I am freakily, that's a new word, freakily, in alignment with this right now. You're not the first person, as you know, like I went on a date, y'all, a date where he took me on a $500,000 business acquisition deal for the Gigi Aveda salon. I was like, what the hell? Like, it's all around me right now. So it is something I like to be very mindful of. So yeah, broker, I see in your future, just because of, honestly, to keep yourself safe, because you have so much on both sides, it would just be smart.
Yeah, it's a rock and a hard place kind of thing.
I think it's a sweet spot, but
well, I mean, it is. Luckily, I mean, the one thing is while I'm sit on both sides, both other parties do not, and both of them can kind of keep me in check a little bit on both sides of the table because I work with both of them so closely. So,
fair, but unless they're selling it
but
to
still,
themselves and you're not in it, like,
right.
it's still
tough.
murky.
I mean, it's just tough. Yeah. I mean, it's
very murky.
And I have never, this is a new experience for me I've always worked in companies that just were companies. And
Yes,
if somebody exited or retired, it was a retirement deal because the company itself had other partners, and it just kind of, you might have shifted structure, but it's never been a specific like acquisition like this.
Right,
So this is
right.
kind of my first experience in that. And it's exciting, but also I'm like, I don't
Now
know.
what? Like, I don't know what to
Now
do
what?
now.
I
So
don't know what to do
from
now.
my like brief knowledge, here's a couple of things which I'm happy to connect you with some of my team. One is talking to a small business attorney for both sides, because both sides are going to need a small business attorney. The one that I know actually deals with brokers as well. Shout out to Alex Devendra of Aligned Law. That's who I would be telling anybody about right now anyways. But she's actually has me waiting for my trademark this week because she's working on a business acquisition deal. And I was all excited. I was like, please, can I take you to coffee or tea? I want to hear all about it. I don't know why, but I feel like this needs to be the modern day woman's new shoe purchase. Like, I bought a business, honey. Like, it's a thing. But I think where you start is first just reaching out, making sure you get the right connection for all parties involved of a business attorney that can act as that third party, or bring in a broker. They're going to walk you through it, kind of like you buy a house and you don't know anything, and the mortgage and the real estate
and you need the contract. Yeah.
So I'd start there. And then on the inside, this is interesting. Yeah. Cause it's where you're representing the buyer and the seller at the same time, or somebody like a real estate agent who has a client who's both selling and buying. I think it would be, I mean, you've already probably done it well, but just on the inside of the business, look at the asset portfolio. And what I mean by that is the logos, the business cards, the websites, the consistency, cohesion, the charisma, how much of it is there? How much are things like, oh man, we really needed to revamp that or something, but just the fundamentals. When I say consistency, that domains and handles and hashtags, all that is there. And put on your buyer or your seller hat. Like, is it a full portfolio? Then on the buyer side, you want to do the opposite, where you're like, okay, the full portfolio is there, but it has enough room for me to inject myself into.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, the other interesting piece of it is like, I am an asset. Like, I'm technically the face of this company. Like, anytime we do any PR or interviews or anything, while he might be the owner, I've always been the face of the company. So like, now
Which
I'm
is also why I feel like you
asset
can't be a part of this. Like, you can't sell and then buy yourself at the same time. Like, that being said though, that's why I think the broker is going to be required. A minimum, the attorney is going to be required, just because you're selling you to yourself. That there's got to be a black market deal for that.
Right.
I mean, I'm just saying, poof. That'd be interesting. I mean, now,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, as a bestie moment, have I not been talking about acquisition like all the time?
No, you have been for a while.
I'm not making it up. It's like, I'm not trying to do it. I'm not actively seeking it, but my God, it keeps coming up. It reminds me of there's just this theme right now in my life of divine timing and callings. Like, when you get a hit on something, this is what I'm talking about. No matter what circumstance I'm in, it keeps coming up. And it's like, the whole theme of today's show, which is I manifested this and now I don't know what to do about it. It's like, I'm manifesting something revolving acquisition. I don't think it's fully arrived as clearly as yours has necessarily, but like, I'm like, what do you want me to do with this? Like, why do you keep showing me this so many times? Like, what do you want me to do? Like, I approve the taste. I approve the appetizer. I don't know what you like. Yes,
Yeah.
and thank you. Like,
Well, I mean, in my case, like it was specific manifestation of something very
right,
specific.
right.
So it's like when it came up, I was like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
But for you, it's like there's nothing. It's yeah, it's more of a category, not like something
Yeah.
very
Like,
specific.
I know. It's been interesting. I feel like surround sound is playing. Acquisition, Ashley, go into acquisition. I'm like, I will, but show me, like, give me more.
What does
I
that
need more
mean?
of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's interesting. I love that.
Yeah.
I think you were gonna say something. Do you remember what
Yeah,
you're
I
gonna
was just going to say, I mean, the other thing for me is from the manifestation perspective is thinking about, okay, I manifested this for sure. And while there's all of these like tactical things of an attorney and how's it valued or not, like that's all tactical stuff that you can easily figure out. Now I'm in the like, okay, well, now how do I balance my time of all of this work on top of the other 6 projects I'm working on too? Because this now is going to become a much bigger project
right.
than it currently is in my workload. So I'm like, where does the time come from when it's
Yeah, I
already
think
maxed out?
Yeah, I hate to use this analogy, but it's true. It's like you can cut a pie 100 different ways. And at this point, maybe you had 6 equal little wedges, and now you're gonna have like half a pie and like 6/8 of a pie or whatever it is. You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
math. Anywho, like
Yeah.
I think that would be half and 6/6, but not 6/8. If anyone caught that, I would like to acknowledge I'm still blonde, y'all. But yeah, you know, it's interesting. We make these big almost, and then when it happens too, like you intentionally said that, but maybe weren't sure if it would actually happen. So we almost like haphazardly say these things, and then they manifest and are like, oh shit.
Exactly.
Yeah, just to relate, because this is where I'm at in my life right now. You know, I feel very much about that with my move to Chicago. You know, I said I wanted to move, and now it's like I'm in the happening of it. So there's 70 moving boxes in my bedroom at the moment. That's interesting. There's wall art not hanging up. There's, you know, teaching cats how to wear harnesses. That's new. And all of the details of it. And it's like, I knew I wanted this and it's good, but I'm in this weird part of me wants to just put it all back and live in like comfort and ease. And the other part wants it to go faster. And it's like, you have to just meet the move where you're at today. Like, what are we doing today?
Right.
I'm just trying, this sounds silly, but I have sold most of the living room. So I have somebody coming this afternoon with a U-Haul to pick up most of it. And the rest, then I'm going to put on to, what's this new thing? OfferUp, sell all of that.
Oh.
But just so that I can have a room to literally pack into, if that makes any sense. So like,
oh yeah,
pack it. And it's weird because I do wobble, you know, like I think I found my dream apartment, which I've told you about, which we're manifesting, but I looked into the neighborhood and it's not exactly like step out into a cafe central, but the apartment's so amazing. Like, I'm like, I don't know now, what do I really want to be manifesting? So I'm like, hold order. Hold that order. I don't know if I want curly fries or regular straight fries after all. Hold, please.
Can I add on to that order?
Yes, please. Yes. Yeah, like let's make those some cheesy fries. Garlic fries, garlic aioli fries. I don't really know which direction I want with this. Something, but yeah. So I got to bedazzle my fries at this point. But yeah, so I know it's interesting when we're manifesting because, you know, a lot of the gurus and all the things out there say that you have to be specific, that you have to, you know, put, you know, literally like length, width, height, diameters, price, all the things on the damn thing. But it's funny when you actually manifest, you didn't do any of that shit. You just thought it with like intention, like heartfelt intention. I'll definitely sacrificial lamb this one. I honestly, okay, so this is embarrassing. I'm going to say it because we're being unfiltered here. I literally got into the shower last night and I was thinking about this dream apartment I found. And I had that like little moment where like you cry out of happiness. Like I just got choked up about it. I was like, what if it was that easy? What if I don't apartment hunt? What if this one picture, which I had pinned on my Pinterest board, you know this, when I first thought about Chicago, I started a Pinterest board and I was pinning things. It's literally one of the things I pinned just aesthetically. Didn't even know that it was like still a thing in town. Like, what if it's just that easy? What if it works out? They have availability. What if it's in my price point? What if I just like, are you kidding me? That gives me goosebumps. The ease of that, and for you yourself, like you didn't ever meet this man intending to buy his business, but it just, your passion because of the work that you do. And it's also a credit to you that you put so much energy and effort and passion into a project that you're willing to buy the thing, side tangent. I had a issue with someone saying something recently where they were like, you have to release the results of your clients. That's not your responsibility. I get that to a degree, like, they have to do their part and they have to get their results, but I'll be damned if I don't give you literally everything you need to have the success that you want. Like, I'm invested in you too, because you've asked me to be, right? So I think it's an interesting thing just on manifestation, like, hold those fries. I need to specify on that because I'm pretty sure at this point I would have a truckload of curly fries and straight fries and garlic fries right up in my driveway. And they'd all have like a will call of Ashley Rhoda. Detail.
Well, and I mean, I think you and I have talked about this so many times too, thinking about manifesting. We're both so practical minded that we
don't actually think it's going to happen.
Right. Yeah. I mean, well, and it feels like so woo being business people with tactics and strategies and how to do that stuff. And like you talk about law of attraction and manifestation, and it feels so very like hippy dippy woo, like I gotta wear long flowy skirts and like dance under the moonlight, and carry a wand or whatever. But in reality, like here we are being very practical and manifesting things like this.
One thing to kind of note too, so currently during this episode, it is a full moon, and I've always been, I don't know, what's the new terminology, woo adjacent or something, where like you're kind of close to woo, but whatever. I don't know. I'm more woo than I even want to admit, but I'm woo. I definitely own it. I love symbolism. I love all of it. Anyways, my point being, I've always kind of, even in science, like I did two lab reports in chemistry, one on the moon and one on Mercury, like not the planet, but the actual liquid Mercury. I just thought the shit was amazing. And I remember just thinking, and like, I'm in a science class doing a project on the moon. It's very analytical. It's very just straightforward, like we're saying. But then we have to think of the fact that like the moon's effect on the tide. We all agree that that's a thing, right? High tide, low tide, moon, it's a thing. And then we all know the moon's effect on women's cycles. It's a thing. Like, how can it affect the ocean, but not our bodies? That's like 80% water. That makes no sense. And then also the moon, how does that not affect? And how can we not draw a correlation between it being a full moon, clarity, ultimate illumination, ultimate ideals coming to fruition, the seed that you probably planted during the new moon, which you didn't really think about, but you were thinking about at the right time, somehow comes out? Like, people, that's like a math equation, say what you want on a new moon, realize it's happening on the full moon, receive it and accept it on the next new moon. Like 21 days, there you go. Math. Like, it's wild though, and I think that's the part about woo that really intrigues me. The fact that you can almost make it analytical and prove this shit. Like, it's wild. And then also the years it's been used, sage and all of these things that, I mean, date back to the first documentations we've ever even had. It's on caves and whatnot. Like, it's wild. And it's like, I wonder sometimes as business owners, I'm hearing this new terminology of the intuitive business coach. I don't know how I feel about it yet, but maybe there's some jazzercising awesomeness in that, because they're not so focused on all of these analytical systems and structures and this and that and this. And maybe they are onto something using this magic that has been like around and isn't magic. It's like universal property.
Right.
Weird.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yes. Yes. It's for me, it's such the balance between that intuitive woo stuff and the actual like strategy of things, because I will admit one of my biggest pet peeves is when somebody talks to me about The Secret.
Oh, right, right. The actual book and movie and The Secret, right.
Yeah, this movement about The Secret. And every single time I'm like, I look at it, I tend to be skeptical at first with a lot of things. And I look at it and with skepticism, I'm like, I get it. I get that we have to have intention and we want to have goals and we have these things to manifest. But you can't just like sit around and eat bonbons and drink champagne, which I'd like to do, and these things just come to you.
Maybe we can though, actually. If we can order up a curly fry, we should be able to order up a bonbon.
Something. But you still have to do something, even if you don't know you're doing it. Kind of like you just said, like I must have, I could have very easily thought about, I wanted to do this on the corresponding new moon, and then actually took actions without even thinking I was taking actions, but was to actually make it manifest. So,
well, and I think that's where the analytical digestion or deconstruction or whatever you want to call it, big word, fits into this, because they're kind of going from it in bringing awareness that that's what we're doing when we manifest. And I think that's what's so crazy about it. It's interesting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do this with my clients a lot of times. Granted, it's harder to do it for ourselves because as you know, I think every single one of us are like, I look at my marketing and I'm like, do as I say, not as I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But particularly with a lot of my clients, like I'll look at things for them with their financials or their marketing data, or like look at just all of these pieces that they're also looking at, and go and put all of these pieces together to go, you need to do this, this, and this. And if you do, like, this is all you'll need to do. And they're just like looking at me and they're like, how do you know that? I'm like, I don't know. I just know. Now, granted, I am putting data pieces together, but I'm also like listening to them.
Yeah.
To hear what they're saying, to take that data and like intuitively, for lack of a better term, put it together and just, I don't know. I just know.
Amen. And I don't question it, because you do know, and I've seen proof of it. For myself, my clients, I love nicknames, because let's be honest, Ashley is the most common basic name there is. Excuse me to any other Ashley that watches this, but I'm pretty sure you're going to feel the same. So like, I can confidently say that. And so I've always had nicknames, from sports teams to just friends to whatever, because Ashley, like, who cares? So it's just interesting, I think, how it all comes through, because I lost my train of thought. I'm going to own it. Like, I don't know. What am I talking? I got so distracted by how boring and basic Ashley is. And like, all my nicknames are just running through my head.
I knew when you got to the end of that you lost it. I was like, let's see what happens here.
You know what? I'm happy to own this. Like, I have no idea. We were talking about something great and I just kerfluffled that shit.
I think you were going into your nickname being intuitive with your clients.
Oh, the nicknames. Thank you. That reminded me. Yeah. So clients nickname me shit all the time. So they call me a metal detector of detail, because they feel like all of the information they give me, I kind of scan through, and I do. And I didn't even think about it until somebody said it, but I'm, like you love murder mysteries, in the movies where like the killer like puts up all of the information on the wall with that like red string. I basically
murder board.
Yeah, a murder board. Thank you. I basically do that in my head. And it's weird because I can see it and apparently no one else can. I totally thought we all saw this, but I have like a murder board in my mind, and I just can, as another one of our people has said, connect the dots. Like it's just an interesting way my mind works. And so I've been called a metal detector of detail. I've been called a sifter, that I kind of sift out the gold in people. But I will say the more they give me, the better. I mean, you give me 2 points, it's like, that means nothing. But when you have more data to work with, that's amazing.
Right.
Like what we spoke with Michelle last week, where we were just, love data. Like, please give me more. And that's where, these nicknames come and the intuition comes. I have no idea. I tell everyone I work with that hires me and pays me top dollar, I have absolutely no idea what your brand is, but I guarantee I'll find it. It's part of the process. And I was very excited this week too. My standard of excellence, or my KPI, or I know I hit the mark, is when my clients cry out of happiness. And if they don't cry, I'm going back to the drawing board. You better bet you're crying if you're going to work with me. And if you don't, shout out Claire Jones, who's the only client I've ever worked with who will not cry for me. We've got problems. I love her. I love her so much, but she won't cry. 2 businesses. It's okay. We all have them.
It's okay. She's just not a crier.
Well, I've asked her to like hydrate. I've asked her like, I'm like, could you stub your toe? Like, let's go. Like, this is doing. And then she'll always say things like, yeah, but I loved it on the inside. I would have. It was amazing. Like, don't get me wrong. And I'm like, not good enough.
Have you seen the movie The Holiday with Cameron Diaz and Kate Winslet, and they like exchange houses? One, it's really cute. You should watch it.
Okay.
But Cameron Diaz plays, so she is a like a movie trailer writer. Like she makes movie trailers so that terrible movies like look good and people go to them. But throughout the whole movie, her kind of like thing is she doesn't cry. She can't cry. This is what made me think about it. Like through the whole movie, she can't cry. And then at the very end, because it's a romantic comedy, at the very end, like she falls in love and she's like leaving and like starts crying and she's like, oh my God. I don't know. It just made me think about it.
I'm not a big crier either, but I won't lie. Pretty much any puppy commercial gets me. Like, I mean, the things I cry every single time at this point, because I'm 34, I need to just fast forward it because it's just embarrassing. I cry every time Mufasa dies. Every time. That's a bloody Lion King for anyone that needed to know. Every time.
My weakness is if I see somebody else crying.
Yeah.
And then I can't not.
Yeah.
I can't handle it. That has nothing to do with
what we're talking about. No, details. This is how we talk. This is how it is. Like,
this is how it is.
This is what people are going to be like. Those are my girls, because I lose my train of thought. We're saying how intuitive we are. I'm talking about French fries. We're talking about business acquisition in the hundreds of thousands, like details. It all goes together, people.
I mean, but again, this is why we even started this show, is because this is really like, even though, yes, we talk about business, like we also don't either. And it all kind of, and I think we need that network of people that can do that with us.
Yeah, I was sharing this with somebody else the other day. They were talking about my marketing strategies and things, and we were having some honest talk about the strategies, and that we just want to go back to kind of another 3 C's of connections, conversation, and conversion, because all of our business, both she and I, is 100% referral. And she was laughing at me because she doesn't have this problem. She's she's one of my loves that they don't give a fuck, which I'm working on that. I have not earned that credential yet. I am certified cynical, but I have not earned my don't give a fuck status yet. I'm working on it. But I still get sparkle syndrome, where it's like, ooh, a new tactic. I want to try it because I like tech. I just like to try it out. But what we're realizing is it's connection and conversation. And it's, back in the day, pre-COVID, sitting at a coffee shop. I had this happen. I met a CFP, certified financial planner, the other weekend. I was meeting somebody for tea and we were just talking and they overheard the conversation, and all long-winded to say, I think it's important for everyone to have a platform that they can just speak. You know, the one that just died a hard death, that iPhone only app that everybody was, it was all voice. What was that? Do you remember what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, so it was a new social media platform. It came out and it was like all vocal.
Right. Clubhouse.
Yes. We needed a social version of Clubhouse. I think Clubhouse was good for the introverts of the world, but there's something about that in-person energy. Again, on the weird woo-woo stuff, like you can't explain the connection thingy that happens. And a lot of people are feeling like they can't make that connection even via Zoom. I don't think so, but.
I mean, yes and no. I get it. Like, I agree with you
on Zoom, but
yeah, I mean, yeah, it is kind of hard to like get that energy even on like things like this. I mean, think about it. We've been doing this for almost 2 years now, and like we've never met in person.
No. I can't wait to, but
Yeah,
I know. Never like,
but
I actually feel like it might be weird. Like when you're in front of me, I'm gonna be like, it's real. Check it out.
well, I mean, I think it's going to be odd because like right now our heads are very even on the screen, and we're going to have a very hard time with you up here and me down here.
I'm gonna have all my little minions. No, this is going to be amazing. So for everyone that doesn't know what we're talking about, we are making my move to Chicago a girls trip, and it turns out that I manifest
little people.
Yeah. I was gonna say travel size, pocket size. I was looking for the like vertically challenged. I don't know what the appropriate word is, but you know, my friends typically are like 4'9", 5'1", 5 foot. Like they're very carry-on size. I don't know. And I myself, I'm 5'9", so there's definitely gonna be like a thing with everybody running around over here, and I'll be like the giraffe of the group or something. I don't even know. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. I think you and Leilani can pull some great tricks on me. You'll have like your own height thing going on.
Yeah, we'll have an inside joke that you just won't get.
No, but I'll just like palm your heads and move you.
Right. But back to the original point.
Yeah, right. If we don't lose everyone after this, we will gain everyone after this.
Back to the original point is, yes, you can still get that energy even on Zoom calls and phone calls. It might not be exactly the same, but it's really close. Yeah. But as somebody that is an introvert, even thinking about things like Clubhouse, where it was kind of a room and you go in and you can network with people, even introverts have a hard time with that on social media because there is an energy to it. And sometimes our introvertedness, and this happens for me, is more of, it's introverted because it sucks our energy, but it's also socially awkward. It's socially awkward in person when you meet people, but then it's even more socially awkward on social media or things like this when you've never met the person. And then now it's just weird. It's just all kind of a weird awkwardness. Yeah. But I do see, when I work with any of my clients, every single one of them wants to do marketing, and they want to do inbound marketing, right? Like for jargon, that's inbound marketing is when you go out and you advertise on Facebook or social media, like all of those things, and people come to you, right? So everybody wants to do that because they don't want to put in the energy to go out and find people, but the space is so crowded. It's really hard to do that. Like it takes a lot of money because you got to compete with the big companies that are throwing money at Facebook and Google. And the space is loud on all of them anymore. Like it's just so crowded. So that inbound digital marketing piece is just a lot harder now than it was in the early days of social media. But it gets us away from that conversations and connections that you're talking about, when in actuality, that's the thing that's going to work for them the best. all of them, every single one of my clients.
If nobody listens to anything else, this is what you need to listen to. Yeah. It's interesting. I feel like, and a lot of the gurus and a lot of the, novice business owners and just starting out, I claim this too. I felt very entitled in the beginning of my business. Like, as long as I had a website up and as long as I, literally hung the open sign, people should be like flooding into me. Like, it was like, that's what I thought happened. Little did I know. I actually got a connection this week. A photographer that I partner with connected me with a real estate agent who just launched her website and didn't get necessarily the results she wanted. And they were asking how I did my virtual studio open house and to share that concept with them. And, I felt better about myself because apparently I'm not the only one that does this stuff, but also, I've found my ways. It's not inbound, it's outbound, it's going out, it's making connections, it's taking the first step. Shout out to our Leilani Filipinko. One of my favorite features about this girl, she will talk to anyone. And sometimes it's awkward, sometimes it's great, but I love her for it because no inhibition and no judgment and will just any situation. So she's always really great to be around because you meet a breadth of wonderful people that maybe you wouldn't have had the guts to go up to or been quiet. I always laugh. We're like the social butterflies at the, going out to our happy hours. The second she goes to the bathroom, I'm like, I want to talk to you. Then she comes back and I'm like, yeah, let's do this. It's interesting. But yeah, that is one of my marketing strategies. When I hit Chicago, I want to meet new people. I want to have connections. And I do know, which I say all the time, and I hope people start saying it too, is everything is who you know and perfect timing. We can manifest whatever we want, but usually even like your deal telling you Alex Devendra, if I didn't know Alex, if I didn't know Leilani, if I didn't know you, like, you have to know the people to do the job in whatever capacity that is. So I think it's vital that we put more priority and more emphasis on outbound marketing because I don't know, they just aren't talking about it. And I think that's a huge reason a lot of businesses go out of business because they just think and have been told that sit back, build a brand and you're ready to go. No.
I know. Yeah, I'd say that all the time to people. This is not Field of Dreams. If they build it, they will come. Like, that's not how this works. Like, you need to build it, don't get me wrong. But then you need to do something to get them to come. It isn't just like throw up a website and people come to you. But we all kind of think that's what's going to happen. And I mean, not that I want to like talk myself out of a job for a lot of people and inbound marketing stuff, but I just find it like so many times with my clients, they just want to go, how can I make social media work for me? And I'm like, it's going to be really hard and a lot of money and a lot of time. And then you're not actually doing the work that you started to do because you're spending all of your time doing all of this inbound marketing, trying to get people to come to you. Creation. Oh my God, don't get me started on that.
I know.
God.
But I don't think you're going to talk yourself out of a job. I think you're going to talk yourself into a niche of how to do outbound marketing. So you could discuss like ways to network, which we did with Michelle last week. We were telling her when you go to a conference, here's ways of getting cards and connections and leads. And that was 100% outbound. So if somebody's like, oh, I wish they'd talk about that. Don't go play episode 2, because that's literally, we spent a lot of time explaining this, but it's also just, find a buddy if you needed to, like a Leilani. First of all, everyone should have a Leilani and a Ronnie, but I'm just saying, I'm very blessed with those two, but just, put the emphasis there because it costs you nothing to have a conversation. Absolutely nothing. Even if you lose your train of thought, you get embarrassed, something happens, you say too much, doesn't matter because the right people will find you and the right people will appreciate you for it. It's just, non-negotiable.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, it's so many people, particularly with my clients, my clients always come to me and say, I have a marketing problem. Like every single one of them, every business I have ever talked with will say, I have a marketing problem. And in actuality, yes, they might. Lots of times there is a marketing problem, but they have an operations problem, which is why I straddle the business strategist, marketing expert side of things, is because they have to work together. If your business doesn't work and run well, the marketing won't work either. Like, you can't put excellent marketing on a bad product and be successful, but you can put bad marketing on a good product and be successful.
Absolutely. It's lipstick on a pig, both of us.
Exactly.
I hear that often. I have a marketing problem, and I often dissect it down to a branding problem, because when you said operations, there is that, and there is also the identity. You can't even have operations without an identity. If you don't know what type of like, how do I want to say this? Because I feel like I'm going to get very technical in my terminology and stuff. So it's like, you know, anyone can drive a car, right? Let's use a car analogy really fast. Anyone can drive a car, and the operations can be a Jeep. It could be a VW. It could be Rolls Royce. It doesn't matter what the operation, like the model of the car. But then I find that branding is kind of the fuel that goes in it. Are we doing regular, premium, you know, diesel? What's going into it? And that identity also, like, diesel doesn't go into all models of cars, right? There's only diesel trucks and diesel things, because I'm a chicken, that's all I know, but details. And, you know, once you get that in line, it's what's the gas, the branding, what's the vehicle, the operation side, then can you drive the damn thing and give it marketing? So it's an interesting flow that, you know, when they come in, and yeah, I think everybody just, when they don't know, they assume they have a marketing problem. It's like, that's the go-to of like, something's wrong, I have a marketing problem. Like, there's no other option, no A, B, C, or D. It's just, I have a marketing problem. It's like, okay, I wish they would even just say I have a problem. It'd be a lot easier to get to the solution if they just owned it, because like, then they're so committed to it being a marketing answer, and it's not always a marketing answer.
Yeah. Guilty as charged. I mean, we've all been there. And I mean, I bring that up because yes, we do this for a living, and we can see it in other people's businesses. We're
not supposed to.
But I mean, I do the same thing. The reason we know people do this because we do it too, you know?
Yeah. I mean, well, let's shout out Michael Weston, who says, when you become what you need, you become a necessity for others. The only reason we know that we're a necessity for others is because it's what we needed. And it's because we've learned all this to figure out what we needed. It's a whole thing. So yes, absolutely. And the shoemaker without shoes, you know, you can't see your own eyebrows. It takes a village. I don't care what quote fun bumper sticker we want to use for this. It's just true. You can't do it alone. You need outside perspective. And I think, you know, I'm actually thinking of a client that I'll see at the eWomen Network conference. I was there. I tried to help. I wanted to help. She just wasn't ready to receive it. So she spent 3 years learning everything I know, and is now coming back like, oh, I'm like, welcome home. Like, come on in. Like, great. Now you know way more, and that's great. You got a wonderful learning lesson of all of this, but she's still coming back to me because now she realizes I can speed up the process because I've already done all of this. But yeah, you know, and that's why we are experts, is we have I forget the 10,000, over 50,000 hours minimum of doing this day in, day out, trying things. So yeah.
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
Got the t-shirt.
Yeah. I've had people help me with my branding in the sense of my identity. Who was I to put into the branding, physical elements, tangible elements? It was almost like someone might say a therapist or a coach is who helped me with my branding, not a graphic designer that like drew this. I did all of that part. I did the creative expression of it, but helping that. We all need that. And sometimes, you know, I had somebody ask me the other day, well, I want to know what makes me iconic. And it's usually those quirks, those characteristics, those details that are unique to you that maybe somebody may not else have, like a big smile or you know, one girl flips her hair all the time when we talk, you know, whatever those little things are, those are your iconic details, and you will never know those, but your closest friends will, the close people that you hire to bring in your circle will, and they will be able to help you identify them and spotlight them, hopefully. And leverage that, because every single person is iconic. No one's the same. No fingerprint is the same, but I'm really glad I used that finger when that just happened. All the things. I was like, whoa, oh, it came out quick and easy. Good job, Ed. Anyways, so yeah, I think we've taken them through a few things to consider. You know, we've talked about, I manifested this, now I don't know what I want to do with it, or I don't know what to do now with it. Manifestation, woo, the power of woo, whether you want it or not, it's there. We've talked about the full moon. What else am I missing? Nicknames, fries, moving, all the things. Who knows?
Marketing, business, all of it.
Big words.
I mean,
that was the best quick recap I've ever done. I tried.
Well, it's one of those like after the fact, you'll be like, wait, that we talked about that.
Yes, we did.
I always think about that stuff afterwards.
All right. Well, why don't we end on this note? We want to invite any of our watchers, any of our viewers. We want to meet you. So please watch live, watch on the replay, give us your questions, give us your comments. And don't forget that we are offering hot seats. If you, like our last guest, Michelle Williams, want to jump in on the conversation, have our full attention from both Ronnie Bartless, the business strategist, and myself, Ashley Rhoda, your brand strategist. We're here to support you, your business and your brand and your marketing in any way that we can. So remember, mark your calendars live Thursdays, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Central Time. And we may adjust this post move, but for right now, we are sticking to it. So expect these times through September, and we will be here for you every week.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.